she was so abundant, yet she had nothing. But she had everything, you know? Right. She didn't need to have material things, but everything that she needed to do, she always had the resources.
I think about farmers, like, we're here in Taiwan. I was in the south of Taiwan on the train, and I was looking at all those rice fields, like massive rice fields, beautiful, right? But I was thinking to myself, like, what kind of deal does the farmer have with the government that the government wouldn't just take his, like, how can one man have so much land? Who allows that? So these thoughts started to grow into like the purpose of a farmer and how the farmer has abundance. He has so much food that he will never have to eat again, so to say. But then as that layers up, his purpose starts going into more of like, he needs to feed society. He needs to feed the people that the government use, etc. And then that parallels for me to what AI is becoming or what technology is becoming or what the new farmer will become like. And I think that's a perfect segue to introduce you, because I do have a feeling you're, through your thoughts and your, I guess you can say, leadership, are raising a new kind of type of person in like a technological revolution where people will be using AI to create abundance for themselves, right? So I just want to welcome the viewers. So here we are at Beyond the Hustle, and we're here at CoreCultural Art Studios, an amazing art gallery / cultural management company here in Taipei. And Beyond the Hustle is produced by Madam Vision, as you know, amazing creative agency here to, I guess, put amazing new ideas at the forefront. And I just wanted to introduce you a little bit. Tordan Ferreira, you're a Brazilian entrepreneur. You've lived here in Taiwan for 13 years. You've been investing in several entrepreneurial ventures, food and beverage, global blockchain. You're currently building an AI chatbot to enhance customer service experience. And I hear that you're open to spiritual and deep conversations. But without further ado, I just wanted to give you a formal introduction and welcome to the podcast. How are you doing, Tordan?
Thank you, Ivan. I'm doing fantastic. Very happy to be here today, and have this opportunity, like, thanks for putting this platform together so we can connect in a deeper level and we can share some insights of some experiences that we've gained throughout, a few things that we've done in our lives. So I'm very, very happy to be here today, sharing what I can with you. Yeah, and learning more about you too, of course. Yeah.
Well, the hot seat, you're in the hot seat. You're the guest of honor. This is episode 1.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the beginning of something amazing. And I feel like there's no coincidences that you are the first, because you're really setting the tone for what this podcast is about. And as we were talking before, Beyond the Hustle, we really want to aim in a direction that gives people a chance to understand the building blocks of creativity, success, what drives you, how do you establish yourself in this ever-changing landscape. And in today's episode, we're going to focus on a few areas. And as you know, we didn't give you any questions before this, so everyone, this is super organic. This is all improvised. There's no script, just a couple of guiding points. But today we're going to focus on a few areas. Of course, we're going to tap into the why, your purpose. We're going to tap into the wisdom, which is what you believe in. We're going to tap into the reasons for what you do, which is the technical, the energy that you get, philosophical, and then a last element, the fifth element, which I call peak phenomenon, which is kind of a hat tip to Maslow, who, as you know, the Maslow hierarchy of needs. You feel like once you reach that top level, you start experiencing peak phenomena, which is, I personally think, might defy conventional ideas of reality, or as many people call, miracles.
Right.
Right? So I guess we'll start you off. I'm going to give you the floor. The first question I want to ask you is, what is your why?
Well, the why that drives me out of my bed, I would say, is the ability to influence people and raise up the vibration to create a more positive environment. I think like since when I was young, I was perceived as a person that brings a lot of happiness to everywhere that I go. I break the ice, I would say, and I try to play as a kid because, I think as we grow old, we forgot how good it is to feel like a kid. We have so much responsibilities and there's so many things that we need to do. We're busy all the time with so many things. We focus on goals. We're driven by achievements. We need to do this, we need to do that, and we forget to play sometimes. And so I see that is becoming a pattern, and people are leading towards that pattern more and more. So my why is to be more like a kid, and break off the ice in order to raise up the vibration for people to connect with themselves.
Love that.
Making questions of, why we are here.
Right.
What is our purpose here?
Right.
To try to break some of the patterns that we've been carrying from the belief systems that were implemented in our minds, and be relaxed so that you are able to actually ask those kind of questions, because that's the moment when you start awakening. If you're not relaxed, you're not going to have the time or the energy or the resources to actually look within. So first is you need to be relaxed. And to be relaxed, you kind of need to connect with your inner self, which is also your inner kid.
That's amazing.
That's a lot of belief systems that needs to be broken apart before you actually be able to connect with your inner kid. And so before doing that, I think it's actually very hard to look within, and actually make those kind of questions. And I have a strong passion to talk to people and connect with people. If I feel is the moment and they're ready, I would be super happy to, connect and try to bring a little bit of their inner kid to the surface, by relaxing, creating the environment, by bringing up like some good vibes, good energy. It just happens naturally. Right. And I feel like that's for me, like when I find myself in that type of scenario, I feel like I'm in my best self.
Right, that's amazing, and I love that you emphasize that. Makes me think of that that famous quote: "The creative adult is the child who survived."
Right.
And you talking about this makes me immediately wonder, when you were growing up, when you were a kid, did you find yourself being like the life of the party? Were you the life of the party? Like, when did you realize like you had this power to like come into a situation, cold room, maybe people are like awkward, nervous, and you had this ability to just like, what's good? How you doing? You just had that energy. Like, when did you first realize that?
I think, over time you start to realize, because you start to observe the patterns. I think I did realize that when I was here in Taiwan, that I observed that, hey, it's kind of like the same pattern that is happening here with some friends that I made in Taiwan. It's the exact pattern that I had back in Brazil with my family, because I would make my family smile, laugh, break the ice, as I said, like by maybe saying some stupid stuff sometimes.
So you were sensitive. Would you say you were kind of not? I wouldn't. Sensitive is a funny word, right? Like, men, well, we're not sensitive, but I guess a better word would be you're tuned into emotional intelligence.
Yes.
So when your room or the family is going through something, you felt the need to.
Yeah, I was always
it.
very sensitive into energy. I remember when my parents, they were having some arguments, and I was in my bed, and my body would shake, and I wouldn't understand why my body is actually shaking. So I was able to pick up the frequency within the environment, which my mom was going through some tough times with my father, and she wasn't feeling good. And so that frequency, my body was channeling that. And so that's the reason why I would shake, And so since my early ages, I was always very, very sensitive to energy. So I'm always able to pick it up, energy from a room, a meeting, an environment, a person. Our body is spitting out energy all the time, like by the way we talk, by the words we choose to speak, by the way we walk, like our body is our subconscious mind, and so it's talking all the time. So I think I was tuned to pick it up, that vibration. And so since early ages, I was able to use that and try to transform by activating the inner kid of myself and try to activate the inner kid of other person too,
Right, which is almost like that's like a well of infinite energy you're saying.
Yeah.
This inner kid that it's like you have it that you can come back to.
Yeah.
And that later, even now, you're in Taiwan and you're seeing.
Yeah, and if you see like, if we
interesting.
like remove the mask, okay? Like take like the big CEOs and all like these powerful people. They go home, they want to relax, they want to have a good time, they just want to feel like a kid once again.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, enough of this, all business, all that, let me relax, let me have a good time, like let me tap into what really is within myself, which is the inner kid, like we always want to play in the end of the day. We always want to have a good time in the end of the day. So it's about taking off that mask.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think that's where the power lies. And everybody, after a long day, try to do that. At least try, I would say. Like it's not everybody that can achieve, but at least people, they try. And some people that may have like some blurry beliefs or blurry path, I would say maybe they could take another, like a different path, and I don't know, maybe use drugs or do something else to try to achieve that, that might lead to different experiences, and maybe that's what they need to go through in order to learn something else, and that's, like that's their own personal choice.
Right.
But I think like tap into this inner energy, inner power within, I think is the most important thing we should do.
That's wonderful, which gives you that sense of purpose, that why.
Exactly.
Is there anything that gets you super hyped? I know you're excited about that, but is there like a specific thing that gets you hyped? Like we all go through our low times, our low energy. What wakes you up in the morning? Like what, when you're putting on that outfit, you shaving, you're looking in them, like what gets you hyped?
Well, very simple, I would say. What gets me hyped is knowing that today I'm going to learn something new.
Fire.
Simple as that. If I know that today I'm going to learn something new or I'm going to do something new, I'm going to go through an experience that I haven't done, I get excited.
That's dope.
It's like I know that today I'm going to tap into something that I haven't done, so therefore I'm going to tap into the unknown.
Ooh.
And so I know that in the unknown there is infinite possibilities. Everything lies there, right? So if I tap into the unknown, then I can create something new into my life. I can withdraw from the unknown, from the infinite possibilities. I can take something new from there and bring it to my life. And so for me, that's something that is very, very, very excited. Yet I should say something that I'm still learning to feel comfortable with the uncomfortable. Because the unknown is very uncomfortable. Like if you can't predict your life, then you're gonna have to get out of your comfort zone. And so if you don't know what the day is gonna be like, then you might activate the stress or hormones. And then maybe you're gonna start overthinking, things like that. So there is a process, like to be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Speaking my language.
So I think like what really gets me excited in the morning is to also tap into the unknown, and do something that I haven't done. So because I know that I can manifest something new into my life, so I can have different and new experiences, therefore learning something new.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I love that you said that, getting comfortable in the uncomfortable. And it's so refreshing to hear that, because that reminds me, like growing up in New York City, you know, when I was younger, just to relate to you, that very similar. I was a guy within my social circle that never understood why people get so affected by the unknown. And what's the perfect, I guess, scenario for, you know, young kids growing up? Talking to women. So that was always my role in the group, was like, get comfortable being uncomfortable. If you see somebody you like, and you know, we can go later into this topic, but you know, the idea of women and energy, feminine, masculine, what symbolism does it play in relation to life, work, career? But that was the first hunt, right? That was the first challenge. Being relaxed and calm in the presence of sheer beauty. Or something, right? And like so many men, so many people get nervous. They don't know what to say. But I always remember using that line, like, get comfortable being uncomfortable. It's okay. Feel that uncomfort. And see what happens. See how that grows. I sense so much wisdom in you. I want to transition to wisdom and what your belief structure is like. What do you believe in, and what do you think forged that belief?
You mean, what do I believe in the sense of a greater, in the greater scales of things?
We can go greater. I would like to go foundational first. Like, what's your first encounter with this idea of belief and believing in something? Because I feel like your wisdom kind of comes from that. I would love to understand more.
I think beliefs are primarily information that were input in our brain, in our mind, in early ages. Most of the beliefs we carry on today are actually not our beliefs. They are beliefs that are coming from generations. My grandmother had a certain belief that passed to my mother, and then my mother nourished that belief, and then she passed it to me, and then it's up to me to continue that belief or break it apart. So what I've been doing is breaking apart, because my family grew up in an environment where, you know, we always had money issue problems, right? So money was always a topic to talk about, but in more of a negative way, you know, like lack of money, you know, not having enough money to pay the bills, you know, and so money was also always an issue to talk, but not in a negative way, you know, not in a positive way, I should say. So then, you know, once I start traveling, I start to understand that, hey, those are not actually true, you know. It's like, why do we think scarcity thoughts, you know, why we need to believe things like that if I see other people doing things that are completely different, you know? So that means that these belief systems that we've been carrying on throughout generations might not be actually true.
Right.
So what do I want to do? Do I want to carry on that, or I want to create something new into my life? Right. So then I look within and I take responsibility to actually try to cut those ties, you know, and create a new belief system that brings more prosperity, more abundance into my life, into the life of the next generations yet to come.
Right.
You know, like kind of setting up a new path, a new cycle of prosperity, abundance, spirituality, connection, you know. So that's what I'm planting, you know, is something that I'm planting for me, but something that's going to linger for generations yet to come.
That's wild.
But so back to your question is, belief for me is just like these programs that have been implanted in our minds, and we choose to nourish them, or we choose to cut the programs and create a new ones that might take time, effort, and a lot of work. You know, it's not easy to cut ties with programs that have been implemented when we were kids. You know, it takes so much energy and so much time. You know, it's a lot of repetition to reprogram, to uninstall and then install a new program in your mind,
Wow.
you know, it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of repetition. It takes a lot of relaxation, because you cannot do that when you're tight, when your muscles are tight, you know, when your mind is closed. You need to relax. You need to open up your minds and see possibilities, you know. So that's what my what I believe beliefs are.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I love that you mentioned this aspect of spirituality, because I would love to ask you, what do you feel the difference is between belief and faith is? Because I love that you're talking about belief as a program. That's so interesting that you're paralleling that to like almost like code, almost like design, like as if we didn't choose what to believe. But then I would like to ask what you think that difference is with faith. And what do you have a faith, etc.?
Well, usually I associate faith to believing in something that you don't know, or you've never seen it. So you must have faith, right? I have faith on something that you probably haven't seen it, or you don't actually know. I prefer saying that, you know, I know it, you know, because you don't need to have faith on your mother. You know who your mother is.
That's interesting.
Right? You know who she is. So you don't need faith. So can that be applied into a greater scale of things? Do I need to have faith in God, or do I need to have faith in myself? Do I need to have faith in something that is maybe projected externally, or can I just know it? I think knowing is more powerful than having faith, because it's more like a path that you can actually have that stronger connection with whatever you believe in or whatever you have faith. So, yeah.
Do you have a practice that you do to put yourself in a state of knowing? Is there a practice, like a mindfulness practice? You talk about getting your body relaxed. Like, there's some kind of, I guess, specific thing that you do that gets you into that zone.
Meditation. Yeah, is for me one of the most powerful techniques that I've ever encountered in my life.
Wow.
You know, meditation, because meditation for me is taking responsibility of my life before doing anything else that the world needs. Let me take a step back and let me give myself a couple minutes to reconnect or disconnect with from myself. So that practice in the morning of doing some breath work, you know, and going within and understanding what is the greater vision that I have for myself.
Right.
Who do I want to be? What is the best version of myself? Having that clear vision and path into my mind, I think it's something very important for me to have my mind clear. Because it's so easy to forget. You know, today you want to do something, tomorrow things are not working the way you want to. After tomorrow you already forgot and you're going completely sideways. So how many times do we need to forget until we start remembering is the thing, you know? Because if we don't have a practice to remember who we want to be, we're going to end up forgetting. You know, if you're not living with visions of the future, then you're left with the memories of the past. So if you're left with the memory of the past, then your life will be predictable. Because you're always going to be activating the same thoughts, the same feelings. They're going to put you in the mood, and you're going to do the same things, and then you're in a cycle. It's predictable because you're living with memories of the past. Right. So if you don't have a vision of the future, you cannot co-create a life that you actually truly desire, you know? So that's why I always say to my friends, you know, like, who do you want to be, you know? What's your best version? Even though if you don't know yet, because I think it takes time to actually figure that out, I think it's important, you know, like to ask those questions sometimes because it triggers a little, you know, or maybe plants a little seed there to allow the other person to think about, you know. because we are forever co-creating our future versions. You know, maybe today I have a certain version, but tomorrow it might change. But I'm always working with the vision of the future, you know, and so I have that, and so I can take actions today to become that person tomorrow. You know, so by doing so, I also tap myself, you know, I put myself into the unknown. And by putting myself into the unknown, once again, I'm withdrawing from the infinite possibilities, from the unknown, and I'm picking one at a time. One, you know, so I co-create from the unknown instead of co-creating from the known. Because if you co-create from the known, then it's like a cycle, you know, your life can be very, very predictable.
Right.
Yeah, I can tell you tomorrow how your day is going to be, or like a week after, or a month after, because you're always in the same loop.
Right, you're trying to break that loop.
Yeah.
Was there a teacher or a mentor that kind of, maybe I'm sure you've also helped many people break this cycle or this loop, this thought pattern. Was there a teacher or a mentor in your life that you felt like really altered the way you look at things?
Many. There are many.
Anyone that comes to mind that you like to
Definitely,
shout
yeah.
out?
Yeah. Well, one I would say is Joe Dispenza played a big role in my life, you know, in some of the teachings he has.
What's that?
Joe Dispenza.
Joe Dispenza.
Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Oh, yeah.
Bob Proctor is also someone that, you know, has a big influence in my life, you know, by his teachings, the way he describes the mind, the subconscious mind, and how we can break from old patterns, you know, co-create new patterns. Bashar also is someone that played big part in my life, you know, and so that those are, you know, like those would be the mentors I would say had the most influence in my life. Apart from others too, of course.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sure you draw from a very strong
Yeah.
core of people. I also wanted to ask you, you know, do you have a favorite philosopher, historical character that, when you talk about higher self, higher ideas of who you want to become, this desire, so many different characters come to mind. I love history. Is there anybody from history that you feel embodies that kind of, granted they're from the old, but like, is there somebody that you can take from the old and forge a new version of a character? Is there someone that you have?
A philosopher.
Doesn't have to be a philosopher. It could be a character, you know, a leader, but somebody that maybe represented a first like role model for yourself.
Oh wow. I would say, let me think.
First one to come to mind. Who pops into the brain?
I think who pops in my mind right now would be Nelson Mandela. Would definitely be someone that, you know, I would say that had a great impact, you know, and by giving, you know. Madre Teresa was also someone that, you know, she was so abundant, yet she had nothing, but she had everything, you know.
Right.
She didn't need to have material things, but everything that she needed to do, she always had the resources. So for me, that, you know, like she had such a great impact into society, you know, by the way she behaved, you know, and how many people she was actually able to help. Mahatma Gandhi is also someone that it must be
you're really going for the purveyors of peace.
Yes.
These are like the
Those are
the pillars of people who represent peace.
Man, those are people that changed, that had a huge impact in society. You know, they gave their lives for a greater purpose of changing something. They had a vision, right? I mean, who said Mahatma Gandhi back in the day, he was able to do what he's done for India, you know? People would say he was crazy, but he always had a vision. He knew that was possible, and he actually went for it.
Right.
You know, he had to talk to the government of England to see what could be done to, you know, detach that strings between India and England. And he actually did. You know, he released his people. You know, something that people would never think would be possible. They actually, yes, yes. So by using your body, your consciousness, your life as an instrument for a higher self, for a higher purpose, I think it's a very noble thing to do. And so they've done what they could do the best, and I have them as a big role model for myself.
Awesome. That's awesome. I want to ask you too, who do you think is a pillar of peace today? Anybody that maybe you can feel that energy from someone today that maybe myself or the audience doesn't know about, that we should keep an eye on?
I do have one person. He's actually from Brazil.
Wow.
Yeah, he's been a great teacher of mine too. His name is Hélio Couto, and he talks about Hélio Couto. Yeah, and he talks about some really interesting things, man. He talks about energy, frequencies, harmonic resonance. You know, like all of these things that people. It's actually kind of it's been here, you know, but it's hard for people to grasp their minds around this kind of concept and ideas. But fundamentally, he's talking about what can possibly be the closest things to the truth, which is also related to quantum mechanics.
Right.
You know, so then we tap into science, quantum mechanics, you know, because if everything is made by atom, then we need to understand how atoms behaves. Right? We need to understand how things are actually working in the subatomic level, because we're emerging from that, right? It's just like one level down there. You know, the vibration there is much faster, you know, but matter is merging from that subatomic level into another level, into this level, where the energy is moving slower, so we're actually able to have a conversation.
Right, we can kind of see it.
We can
predict it.
Exactly. We can exchange information, you know, and we can grow from there. But yeah.
That's fire. Say his name one more time.
Hélio Couto.
Hélio Couto.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to research this guy.
Yeah.
So he's new on the scene.
Oh man, he's a good one.
We'll talk quantum in a little bit. A lot of this is, you know, again, I want to establish a lot of your foundations, and eventually we're going to talk about some of the things you're doing now that I can sense is very exciting. But I also wanted to, still maintaining on this this purpose, this peace. Why is it that peace, or like you're saying, this energy, childlike energy, do you think this is like revolutionary? Because I feel like we're in a time where, like, you know, you mentioned Mother Teresa, Gandhi, like these characters, their message was so simple, yet it was so rebellious and revolutionary. So it's like, especially now, it's 2024, where the world is going through heavy, you know, storms of negative energy, warlike energy. Why do you think peace becomes so revolutionary, like, in these times? Like, what's your take on that?
I think people are awakening. With the help of technology, you know, information is being spread in a much higher scale, much faster. Of course, you also have misinformation spreading through the society as well, but in the other side, you have a lot of people awakening to a new possibility, you know, of saying, hey, maybe reality as we know is not actually true. You know, maybe we've been under a certain control, or we're being manipulated, you know, through the conventional medias, you know, television, and many other sources where they're taking their information from. So I think people are actually waking up to a different version of reality and understanding that peace is a very important part of our society so that we can live in harmony. You know, it's not just about taking it. It's not just about money. It's not just about having it. It's also about giving. It's also about living in a harmony, you know. It's about union. It's about working together instead of working against each other. So I think like the collective consciousness is raising their vibration. So we are thinking more alike in that sense, and it doesn't take too many people to actually change the planet. You know what I mean? It just take a few people to actually truly understand this concept to create a revolution.
I know you're from Brazil, and I think it was last week or the week before, Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter X, free speech in Brazil and what's happening with, we don't got to go too deep into that, but are you aware of what's
Totally.
And
Yes, absolutely.
you want to talk about that a little bit?
Can. Yeah. I think right now the dirt is coming to the surface a little bit, in regards to how many things were actually manipulated through some of the political parties in Brazil that we have now, and then we actually are able to see that, especially coming from Elon Musk, the CEO of X,
right?
Mentioning about the what's his name?
The
judge,
the Supreme Justice, what is Alexander?
Moraes.
Moraes.
Yeah. The CEO of X, Elon Musk,
kind of called him out.
Called him out, and
which triggered a string of awakening and free speech. I feel
so you can actually understand how the Supreme Court in Brazil was pressing these social media platforms to silence people during the election in Brazil. Everybody that was going against the other political party were completely cut off. They disappear, from social media. So they were not able to influence other people anymore, because they were just going against the other political party.
Why do people do that? Like, let's go back to the child-like example. Why do people do that?
Oh, man.
In your opinion?
In my opinion, why do they do that?
Of course, my first reaction or impression is they're afraid of something.
Right.
What are they afraid of?
They're afraid of losing. They're afraid of losing the power that they already have, right? So they are so attached into what they have, which is primarily the power. Then it comes the material things and the benefits that they can get within the power. That they're gonna do everything to hold that power.
Which is interesting because that kind of parallels to what you're talking about when it comes to reality.
Right.
Like holding on to this perception of reality, and it's like, this is solid, this is a chair. Right. And you're like, but on the quantum level, the chair's not really there.
Exactly.
Right?
And I was gonna go actually exactly there because they, in my perception, in the way that I understand,
right,
they still live in the Newtonian world.
Interesting. That's an interesting phrase. The Newtonian world.
Which everything is separated, right? Everything is like you are you, I am me, and I need to take care of myself. And hey, I don't give a damn about you. You go do your thing. Hey, if we need to make some wars, let's do some wars because hey, guess what? We need to get a little more
this
here.
Line. This is my fence. This is my land.
Yeah. Hey, but I want to take your land now, so we're gonna invade and we're gonna take it.
Right.
So if a few people needs to die, it's okay. Let's do it.
Wow.
So that's the mentality because we all separated, right? It's like, why do I need to care about you? But then the quantum reality or the quantum perception of things means, hey, we all one. We all together, right? We come from the same source. So I don't think they understand that. Or maybe they've heard about it, but they choose not to accept. Because for them, this is the thing though, for them to accept, they need to let go. They need to let go of their power. Right. And their ego is so strong that the ego will fight back so hard for them not to do that. So they can't accept. I always say we have smart people, they are so good. They have big heart, They're so good. They will do everything in their power to help society. But we also have very, very bad people. They are very smart. They're super intelligent people, okay? They have PhDs and masters and everything you can think about. The only difference is that they don't understand the quantum model. That's why they choose to do what they are doing. Because if they understood and accept the quantum model, they would understand that everything comes from the same source of energy, that we all one, that we need to take care of each other and the planet and the animals and everything else.
Right.
So for me, primarily, that's how you draw the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's your fundamental understanding of what reality is. And I do feel like you're alluding to karma and this kind of, this larger aspect of a cycle and a kind of
right,
or maybe more, it's more like an ocean field.
Right.
Like everything you do will ripple and then bounce back, kind of like a...
Exactly.
It's very fascinating.
But so just to say, you know, like going back to your questions, like why do people do that? Is, for me, is because they don't understand or they choose not to accept the quantum model of reality, which means that we all together, we all one, and so for them to do that, they will need to let go and open up for everything. So they don't want to do that, you know. So that is the way you draw the line in between people that choose to do good and people that choose to do bad. You know, people that choose to use their power to influence society in a positive way, and people that choose to use their power to dominate and take more control of things.
And I think that's a perfect transition to now we're going into the reason focus area. And when I say reason, we're going to explore the technicalities, the tools. So I would love for you to now, for the viewers, for the audience, for myself, to further understand what have you created? What is your business? What kind of tools have you created to, you know, essentially address a lot of these changes in the world and these imbalances? Please tell me about, you know, your company, etc.
Of the projects that I work on right now?
Currently, right.
Okay. Yeah, well, currently I've been working on a project where I've been using current technology, you know, like such as artificial intelligence, to train this AI, you know, based on a company, or a specific company, or a specific product that a company may have. And so once I train this AI, then I'm able to connect this AI with their social media platforms. So whenever a customer of this company is actually making any questions in regards to the company itself or the product, then the AI is already well trained, and the AI has the capability to reply the customers in a fast speed and quality, with quality answers. You know, because the AI can have multiple personalities. You know, we can train the AI to be a great salesperson. We can train the AI to have negotiation skills. We can use the AI to actually understand the objections of a client and get these objections and address each objection before asking to book an appointment.
Right.
You know, or before actually making a sales pitch. So I understood that this could solve the problem of many companies, you know, and would raise the satisfaction of the clients, and would bring more revenue to the company as well. You know, so this is what I've been doing lately. This is the focus right now.
Right, and I feel like that really channels what you're talking about when it comes to like abundance and creating something that allows people to almost work more effortlessly.
Right.
I would imagine.
Right.
I want to segue into like what is your creative process like? You know, now that there are new technologies, new skills being learned, what's your creative process like?
Well, for me, in order to tap into new creative ideas, you know, I tend to talk to a lot of people. You know, I tend to pick it up information that is coming from their perception, you know, or from their own experiences, so that I can also connect into the researches that I do myself,
Right.
and then see if I can connect some of the dots based on my past experiences.
Right.
You know, like, so my creative process would be networking, connecting, absorbing, and giving, because I think that's the way that we can learn faster.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how do you feel this improves, evolves, or moves all of us forward? This integration of AI and I guess you're saying you focus on AI. What else?
Marketing,
AI,
you know,
marketing, and
marketing.
like better ways to communicate.
Yes.
How do you
Yes.
feel like this moves us forward as a society, as people, as entrepreneurs, as businessmen, as salespeople?
I
What's your
think
take?
in you know, like, based on this kind of the services that I'm doing, it would allow us to move forward in regards to not spending so much time, you know, doing these repetitive tasks
Right.
that we need to do right now in order to, you know, like, talk to customers, you know, or, you know, like, make sure that the customer is satisfied. You know, we can automate these functionalities using current technology, so that we can use our creative capacity to do something that the technology yet is not able to do. What could that be? You know, could be using our time to actually connect one-on-one with the customer, you know, or like to have this personal moment with the customer when the customer goes into your company, or using your time to create something else for the company that hasn't been created yet, you know, like, so pretty much we are automating things that are more repetitive, you know, so to speak,
Right.
so that we can use this time and energy to create something that hasn't been created yet for the company.
I think that gets me so excited because now we're in the practical nitty gritty of where we are at this current stage. AI is here. You know, we're kind of at a point where we're gonna be in this divide between human-centric and a tech-centric world.
Yes.
And I think you're talking about that fusion. And you know the big fear everybody is like, what's gonna happen to the jobs? AI is coming for our jobs. Personally, I think it's not about what's gonna happen to the jobs. It's about what are the new jobs? What are the new roles that are gonna present itself for humans?
Right.
What's your view on that?
Huh. My view on that is AI is here and is here to stay, you know, and AI is evolving so fast that I don't think society is yet ready to adapt to the change. And why I say that is because, you know, when Industrial Revolution came through, it came through step by step, slowly, you know. So we were able to adapt, you know, to the machines that are coming in the market. You know, like, hey, the machines were able to replace human laborers, but then, you know, humans, they had the ability to adapt slowly in the progress, you know. But AI, once we achieve general artificial intelligence, or AGI, is going to be like, boom. It's going to, I think it's going to replace a lot of jobs so fast that society is not going to be ready to adapt. And so what is going to happen when you have millions of people losing your job like that, you know, it's something that we don't know yet. And that's why, you know, like, we have a crypto project called the World Coin.
It's your project.
No, it's a project.
It is a project.
Yeah, is a project created by Sam Altman, the same
okay.
creator of
OpenAI.
OpenAI, and the purpose of the project is to, you know, you have to scan your eyes, right? They have a machine that they put in front of your eyes and they scan your eyes. And the idea behind the project is actually to give money to people once, you know, it's like to have a basic income for people once AI takes over.
Right.
And that's kind of scary, you know, because now we are relying on a system that is actually controlling everything.
I think it's really fascinating. Like, you know, as you know, I work in the art industry. Today I wore my little Basquiat shirt, This piece is interesting. It's titled Rome Pays Off. And this piece is interesting because it comes from a collection of his. I don't want to get too into, I think a lot of people know Basquiat's work, but he's always using historical references. So what I found interesting about this piece itself is that in the right corner, you have a character wearing a crown and with the keyword salt.
Mm-hmm.
Salt was one of the leading resources, commodities. It was even a currency during the Roman Empire time. But who was mining the salt? Usually it was slaves. So this is fascinating to me because here we are, 21st going into 22nd century. AI is here. When you talk about AGI, it makes me think about a completely instant new slave class, which is robotics. So I think it's fascinating that throughout history, humans are obsessed with having, now I don't want to get too touchy, but when I say the word slave, I'm talking about something or somebody, of course it's always been people, but like this idea of intelligence as a resource. Because that's essentially what humans, essentially are. We're intelligent creatures. We utilize our surroundings. We put things together. The advent of the opposable thumb, all that good stuff allows us to then manifest from, from the ether, imagination, into physical plane of reality. So when you talk about AGI, that's interesting because it sounds like that will instantly create a new class of people if we can consider AI as people.
Right.
What's your take on that?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100%. And up to that moment, moving forward, things can escalate to a way that it's actually, it boggles my mind, It boggles my mind sometimes when I think about AI and everything that can happen moving forward. To be honest with you, I've never thought that I would experience artificial intelligence. In my mind, it was like something like 50 years from now.
Right.
And then suddenly, boom, it's here.
Right.
And that for me,
on 2 years ago.
Yeah.
GPT, November 2022.
Yeah. And we are growing in such a fast speed, man, that I think like we are yet to see a lot of these sci-fi things that manifesting, man. All of this, traveling, AI, like in robotics, everything is gonna be in the blink of a second.
I had a good debate with my brother in New York City about, of course, artificial intelligence. I'm a little bit more idealistic. I'm a little bit more of a character. I'm more romantic as a personality. So my whole thing was, at what point is each person going to have an AI that can play the stock market for us or go make money for us? Of course that's the dream. That's that's its own, romantic idea. Because if everyone had an AI making money on the stock market, then the stock market would be irrelevant. But so now I think
it's already kind of like that with a lot of bots, trading.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is where I'm leading towards. Like now we're in this interesting reality where we're paradigm shifting to like redefining what value and currency is. And I think this is where we can really go deep with the services and the skills, or this next evolution of what people need to start doing to become relevant in a world dominated by machine intelligence. How do you think people can stay relevant or stay unique and authentic and still make an impact? And I'm talking about the people who are going to lose their jobs.
Right. Something that I often think about, the people that completely ignore the technology will definitely stay behind. I would say like for people that you don't need to learn all the tools available out there because there are plenty of tools. There's so many tools, new tools coming, every day. But all you need to do as an individual right now is to learn and master the AI tools in your field. So what do I mean? If you do art, you should know all the AI tools that involves art. If you do music, you should know how to use all the AI tools involving music. Because with that, you can leverage the power of the technology to keep doing what you're doing or do something even better. So the people that are actually using AI to speed up their work, and come up with more creative approaches into their industry or niches, are going to be the people that are going to strive moving forward. You don't need to learn everything, man. I feel like sometimes people get too overwhelmed with so many things and change all the time, but stay on the top of your niche, I would say. That's what is going to allow people or give leverage to these people, when it comes to jobs, monetization, providing value and service to other people or company like that.
That's amazing. Are there any skills you don't have right now that you wish you had and that you can't wait to have with the advent of AI technology? Personally.
I would say
what would you want to be able to do?
maybe I would say like I would like to understand more code.
Interesting.
To actually, scan my eyes through code and actually understand what is actually happening there. It's something that I think would be quite valuable. Even though with AI right now, it's like, hey, the future of computing or software building is going to be, hey, create a software for me that does this, that, and export this information to this, and then the AI is going to create the exact software for you.
Here's the thing I think we can tap into that I haven't heard many people talk about. You use I like how you say code, and then we talk about language. Language is a code for sure.
Yeah.
You're talking about the scanning. That makes me think about, of course, the big divide. Do you get the brain chip or not? Because when I think about that, we think about the latency time. And it's funny because humans, we're still kind of like these talking apes. Like we make noises out of our mouth, out of our vocal box. Like I can imagine listening to us in outer space, and we're just this chattering idiots all over the world.
Right.
At what point do we no longer need to talk? And there's a receiver, and now we're just manifesting imagination instantly. Do you think that's a possibility?
Through technology? Or
perhaps
through technology, absolutely. I think by connecting a chip into a human brain is gonna do wonders.
So you're down for the chip.
You're gonna have superpower. I'm gonna get there. You're gonna get superpower, and that's how it's gonna be promoted. Right now it's already being promoted in a way. Hey, we're using a chip of a computer to allow a person that is disabled to actually do things. Great. Okay, this is a great side of it, but I think like there's another side of it that people are actually not talking so much, which is going to be what happens when you integrate your brain with a computer and that chip is connected to internet, which is connected to AI. You become AI. How do you differentiate what is your thoughts and what is actually coming from the AI? So, and then who is controlling all of that?
So we're talking about identity issues.
Man, I think like it's
philosophical, like spiritual identity. Like
it becomes messy. It becomes messy because then you lose your sense of self-control in a way. Because you might not know what is actually your thought and what is actually coming from the AI. If it's just inputs that are being sent to your brain, right, which is electrical signals, that's all. Your brain does that automatically, right, naturally. But now you have a computer also sending electrical signals into your brain.
Is that already happening now with this idea of the universe? Are we already receiving signals?
Absolutely, I think so.
So this is my next question.
I think so.
I always joke with my friends, like, are you gonna get the chip or not? It's like the classic. Do you need mushrooms to hallucinate? Or, meditators and enlightened monks will tell you that I can hallucinate freely. Right. So now there's this human-centric, tech-centric divide of organic, supernatural ability, if that's even real, versus technologically subsidized, supplemented superpower?
Right. I would say, man,
Where are you on that spectrum?
I mean, it's an interesting question,
It's a tricky
Based on what I understand about the government and the whole manipulation out there, I wouldn't use a brain that is connected to a server that is coming through, connected to them.
Yeah.
If there is something local, if I can run an AI power on my computer, then I can connect. Maybe, you know what I mean?
Right.
I think what I'm most afraid of is the level of manipulation that can actually happen. I mean, if we're already being manipulated, come on, man, we know,
Right.
we don't need to pretend. We know the level of manipulation that already happens. Just controlling media, television, radio, social media channels, Brazil stuff, that just happened. Imagine when they can send information straight to your brain. I think that's the end of the game, For me, that's the end of the game.
For what? For human individuality?
For freedom.
For freedom.
For freedom. That's that's how the agenda has been planned, and that's how they're gonna push the agenda. So you're gonna see, every event happening, pushing that even more and more, and I think that's the ultimate plan that they want to do.
And as far as freedom is concerned, I think this is a great way to now lead into energy, which is like the philosophical area of this segment of like, when I hear freedom, I think of creativity. Like, this is interesting because now and of course, like you said, there are very smart people with very, nefarious, negative intentions. So they have the ability to create too. They're creating amazingly diabolical things that I'm sure even we've used. But like, let's go into creativity because you mentioned that some time ago about what we need to do as people, and you said we need to be at the top of our niche. We need to be using AI tools to like really foster our creativity. So like, what does creativity mean to you? Like, define creativity.
Creativity for me is elevating our frequency into a level so that we can tap into the ideas that we haven't tapped before.
Right.
So if that means relaxing your body, relaxing your brain, and putting your brain into a lower frequency, maybe gamma frequency, that is vibrating in a lower pace, so that you can actually be so relaxed to have those intuitions coming into you, so you're actually able to see things from a different angle. Mm-hmm. That's creativity for me, and that's one of the most powerful things that a man can actually do. And we all have that power.
Right.
But some people say, oh, I'm not creative.
Right.
Oh, I can't do that. No, we all are creative by nature.
So you feel like that's innate?
That's in our DNA. We have the ability to create. You can train your body your body and your mind to be more creative.
How necessary do you think that creativity, that innate creativity in us, will be in this next cycle or this next revolution with technology and these global events for people?
Some people might rely completely on the technology and forget about their own inner powers, creativity, intuition. Others might try to hold on that biological sense, of tap into your own creativity. I think we're going to have a division of society in that sense. People, they're always going to be relying on, oh, I need to do something, let me ask ChatGPT. So GPT is going to be the creative source, of all ideas that are going to be coming through. And more we're going to do that. Because now I no longer need to relax myself to actually tap into creative states to come up with an idea if the AI is doing all of that for me. Now, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I don't know. You know, I don't know. I think we yet to see what's going to happen with that.
I would love to talk about this idea of, I mentioned Maslow's hierarchy and like this concept of once you have these, basic needs covered, food, shelter, safety, belonging, and as you go higher to that aspect of what feeds humans, the top is like self-actualization, and then eventually this concept of transcendence, which, when I heard this AI was here to stay narrative and that billions are being invested into AI and that it's going to revolutionize how humans work or even allow the romantic ideas that's going to allow humans to be more human, create more art, play, dance, be like a child, let AI do all the work. That made me think about that example I told you about where it's like the farm is good, like there's crops growing. The AI is tilling the field for us. We can be at home and play. So then it made me think romantically like that, what would a world look like if 1 million people achieve this idea of enlightenment or transcendence? Like, what does that world look like? Can you imagine a world like that? Do you think it's possible?
Yeah, I do think it's possible. I think that's heaven on earth. Heaven does not exist elsewhere. It can exist right here, right now. I have an interesting concept of heaven, which I think is a place where people are in a state of consciousness that we are always helping one another. We have more than enough to give to one another. That's pretty much heaven. Is not just abstract place, out in this, on the clouds where you have angels, moving around. Heaven is a place where everybody is helping everybody, where it has a sense of abundance for everyone to live. So can we create heaven on earth? Yes, totally. We just need to raise our level of consciousness to understand and live by those means, So, and one thing actually interesting, like that I would like to share is one day I was in Diamond Park, and I was just like looking around and observing how peaceful it is, and how Taiwanese people tend to help a lot, especially foreigners sometimes.
Right.
So, and based on the experience that I have traveling to so many other countries, I felt like, is Taiwan the place that could be closer to heaven on earth?
That's fascinating.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because people are calm, they're chill, it's safe. You don't have that anxiety of, hey, someone's gonna come and steal my stuff. People are willing to help you when you need help on the street. Maybe people are genuine. Like they're generous. So it's like, out of all the places I've been, I think Taiwan could be one of the countries that could be closer to, what I mean? Yeah, the collective consciousness.
Social.
Yeah, it could be, like closer to what could potentially be heaven.
I can see that. Shout out Taiwan.
Shout out Taiwan,
Taiwan.
Yeah.
But we can go deeper, maybe on a different segment about the nuances of Taiwan. We can talk about that on its own episode.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, Taiwan. I'm half Taiwanese. We're here in Taiwan right now, in the middle of Xingyi. But Taiwan is a very, very amazing, I think, environment that's still so young for freedom. Like you mentioned, freedom of speech, democracy, freedom of ideas, creativity. But of course, there's an underbelly to everything, and there is always work to do. So I think there's improvements that only time can allow it to happen, especially here in Taiwan. But you're right, Taiwan is very, compared to some places, it's so chill that you can find yourself scaring someone by accident.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to talk about, that's amazing that you talked about, I was going to ask you what your version of transcendence is, and you described this idea of heaven on earth. I think that's wonderful. And then I wanted to ask you about what you do in the work that you do, working with AI and marketing communication, I want to talk about art. Do you view what you do as an art form? Do you see a connection between creativity and art?
I do. Yes, I definitely do. You know, especially on my field, you know, like by creating these AIs that are tailored to a company or a product, you know, and also by um, inputting the relevant information for the AI to actually use
Right.
and come up with the best answers. For me, I'm kind of almost classifying that as prompt engineering,
Right.
you know, because you need to understand how you're going to structure your prompt, you know, and you need to do a few tests. And you need to, is it working? Is not working? You know, maybe I need to change something here and there. So it takes a lot of experimenting and a lot of creativity too, you know, like to come up with a best answer or a best product to give to your clients that
Right.
is going to be able to help your clients communicating their message about their company or product to their clients, therefore turning that into more reservations or more bookings or more sales or more whatever.
Like a
So
new art form almost.
is a new art form. You know, it takes a lot of creativity and experimenting in order to come up with the best version of the AI.
What do you think the difference between studying the game and studying the art of the game is?
Studying the game and studying the.
Art of the game.
Can you give me a little more context on that?
So I guess what I'm asking is like, there's a way to play the game, so to say. There's a way to play business. I think we all play it in different ways. But then there's the art of the business. You know, of course, like Sun Tzu, Art of War. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There's nuances to doing things. So where do you see that difference?
I see. I see that difference primarily, I would say, in the amount of value that I can give to people. I focus on the value instead of focusing on how much money I can actually make. I think that is maybe the art of the game that you are referring to.
Right.
If I focus on how much value I can provide to you and how much I can actually help your company, then therefore I'll be monetary. I will have monetary benefits, you know. But then if I have my focus primarily on how much money I'm going to make, then my energy is just into the numbers, and I'm going to lose myself in regards to how much I can actually help you through.
I see what you mean.
You know what I
It's
mean?
like you're stuck in the game.
You're in the game.
You're in the numbers game.
Yeah, you're in the numbers game, you
forgot
know.
the-
You forgot the essence
Right.
of what business actually is. And a lot of people are trapped into that, you know. People are trapped into the numbers as much as, you know, doing something that is actually valuable to people.
So you're a people first person, and then company, and then business.
Totally.
For sure.
Totally. Yeah.
Can
Yes.
you talk more about how you put people first? Like, how did you learn how to do that? It might come natural to you, but
Yeah.
you'd be surprised for many people, they don't know how to put people first.
Right.
Service.
I think like the most valuable experiences that I had was through connecting with amazing individuals, you know, by understanding their story, their struggles, their pains, you know, and I learned so much from people, you know, from everything that they've done and whatever they've gone through. So I was able to connect deeper, you know, with people that are around myself and understand that, hey, everyone is going through something, you know. It's not just everything that we post on social media, you know, like that beauty, you know, like happy life, you know. We always have our dark sides too, you know. So by understanding all aspects of one's life, allow me to see the bigger picture, you know. And by doing so, I understand that people always comes first. You don't have a product if you don't have people, if you don't have a team. You know, if your company focus only on sales and revenue, you're gonna go bankrupt because your team is gonna break apart.
We're seeing that happen right now,
Yeah.
right? With many of these companies focusing on agendas or narratives, and the people are not
Exactly. If you
Not
don't have
relating
you don't
anymore.
have a happy team, your team is going to reflect on the service that they give to their customers, right? Like if you don't have a happy team working in a restaurant, they're going to do a shitty job serving their food to the customers. The customers are going to pick it up, that information, that frequency, and they're probably never going to come back. So if you have happy employees or happy, people working in your company, it's much more likely that they're gonna, work happy, and they're gonna deliver a better service to their customers. So meaning that the customer is gonna be happy, they're gonna be satisfied, and they're gonna come back because they felt, oh, this is such a good environment. I know I'm being treated nice because the employees are happy. Hospitality, So it's always about people. People always comes first.
I was gonna ask you what drives you, but I can tell that that's a big driving force, and a source of your energy is that feeling that people get from working in a hospitable environment,
Yeah.
and kind of facilitating growth and evolution.
Yeah.
That's fire.
I think we can start concrete soon.
Yeah.
What time? What?
1 hour
It's
20.
1 hour. Is 1 hour?
1 p.m.
1 p.m.
That's perfect.
I
We
think
at the
that's
bottom.
perfect.
Yeah, we at the bottom area. That's
Beautiful,
perfect.
beautiful.
So, back to energy. How do you maintain the right amount of energy in a given situation?
Tend to go nature quite a lot. I tend to meditate, connect with people. There are also givers. It also allows myself to recharge. I tend to be quiet, have my quiet moments, silence moments. Sometimes I think for me is also very important, like that allows myself to reconnect with my inner self. Because, primarily there is infinite energy. I am infinite source of energy.
Right.
So if I'm able to relax and connect with myself, then I can tap into new sources of energy so that I can recharge myself to, be up to giving once again.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there a specific place, like a mountain or a river, and I was like, what is that place for you?
Place for me in
Yeah.
Taiwan? Oh man, there
Maybe
are
not just Taiwan, but like
there are a few places in Taiwan I like to go. I like to go to Wulai, which is close to Taipei. I like to go to Elephant Mountain. Like for a few trails. Neihu also has some pretty mountains. I like to go do a little walking. And yeah.
That's fire. All right, so we'll kind of slowly enter the next area, and then we'll let you get back to. I know you got things to do today. So here's a fun question: YOLO or YALA? You only live once, or you always live again?
I would say you always live again.
Fire.
Yeah.
And with the last area, and then segueing into some of our conclusive things, we have this area that I like to call peak phenomena. Can you give us an anecdote of a time where you felt like you were at this level? There's many fun phrases for this. We call it in the flow, when you're in flow state, God mode, or when you're in the zone. Is there a time you can recollect where you experienced something like this, like a phenomenon or an experience or a specific time where you were like, how did I do this? Like, this is wild.
Right now, I would say I'm in the zone because I'm doing what I want to do when I want to do, which is now. So if I'm doing what I want to do when I want to do, it gives me this sense of purpose. And I get into that state of zone that I don't even see time passing by. And I've experienced that multiple times. And I also associate that with a sense of abundance, which is for me the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do. So if you have to do something in a specific time and you have the resources to do that, then you are abundant. I think abundance comes in different ways, and so we don't need to only focus on money. We are actually trapped into thinking that abundance is it just comes from the monetary side of things. You know, we're always looking at the numbers. But hey, if you don't see the other sides of abundance that life presents to you, you're missing out a bunch, you know, and you're gonna be trapped into that. So if you're able to do what you need to do when you need to do, for me, you are an abundance person, you know. And so we're doing this right now. I feel like I'm abundant, you know, and I get into the flow because I'm doing that. Yeah.
Flowing right now.
Yeah.
How do you define success on that notion?
Success for me, it kind of like goes within this abundance state that I've just said. You know, if I'm doing the job that I want to do, man, you know, like if I'm in a place where I want to be, if I'm talking with the people I want to talk, I'm doing essentially what I really want to do. I'm a successful person. You know what I mean? It's like I don't need to have millions of dollars in the bank to be a successful person. Numbers do not define success to me. You know, success to me defines in doing what I want to do. If I want to, you know, take a travel, then I travel. And again, I don't need to, you know, be trapped into this idea. Oh, I need to have a lot of money to travel. You know, you can manifest or do things in a spontaneous way. You know, you can plan your way based on who you are at that specific time. You know, like, so there's so much abundance, you know, happening every day, and it's just about having eyes to actually recognize those things. You know, so if we stop every day to look through the day, you know, we stop in the nighttime, right, before you go to sleep, and you start looking for the sign. You ask yourself, well, what was my sign today? You know, what was that little thing, you know, that brings me abundance, you know, or like how did the universe connected with me today? Could be through someone's smile, could be through like a word that someone spoke to you that you needed to hear, you know. Those things I think are also related to abundance, you know, and eventually connects to success.
I think that's amazing because I also wanted to, you know, ask you about your concept of hustle. And I think you answered that already. Is when you are in this state of appreciation and recognizing the abundance around you, that almost redefines this aspect of hustling. What is hustling to you as we kind of conclude? And I'll ask you one last question to let the audience wonder, but what's your concept of hustle and how does that align with success?
Well, hustling for me is it doesn't come, you know, associated with working hard, but comes with prioritizing your time. You know, how are you going to divide your time based on the infinite possibilities of things that you can actually do. I'm dedicating X amount of time to do this first because this is very, very important for me. And so I'm going to act on it, you know, and I'm going to relax because you cannot be hustling all the time. Hustling, I think it was, this terminology became quite famous, you know, because entrepreneurs were saying you need to hustle, you know. But that comes with an intention in my mind of, you know, you're not relaxed. You're maybe forcing something that is not coming naturally. But then again, you know, like you cannot force things, man. You know, if you force something, it's gonna break. And if it breaks, then you're gonna feel the pain eventually, you know. Like, so it's not really about like going crazy and working too hard, you know. It's about maybe prioritizing what is important, setting up the intentions, having your values and purpose, and relaxing. I think relaxing is very, very important. You know, if you do things relaxed, things comes to you. Now, when you're hustling and you're putting pressure, you're going after something. And then because you're going after something, that thing is going away. You know what I mean? You're kind of like expelling that thing away from you because you're putting pressure. You're trying to sell something and you're selling, you're pushing that sell, the prospect is going to leave. Now you're trying to sell something that you're so relaxed, you don't need, you know, hey, I'm here to give you value, you know, but I'm not saying I need you, you know, it's not that I'm putting the sell into you. So I'm so relaxed that you just come, you know, it comes to me. So You want to put yourself in a state of magnetism that things are coming to you. Why? Because you are it. It's a state of consciousness that you are it. So therefore you need to, you tap into a reality that everything exists is there for you,
Right.
Yeah.
It's perfect coming from a man of the Amazonian.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
this
yeah,
is-
yeah.
I know this is deep in the Brazilian culture. This connection with. It almost makes me think of like you can't hunt for the deer because the deer can sense you from a mile away if you
Mhm.
have that intent.
Exactly.
So, in conclusion, what are your visions for the future of humanity on Earth? Broad question, but feel free to expand and then take it away.
I think that we are leveraging technology right now and educating ourselves to understand both sides of possibilities. Understand that there is a level of manipulation that actually is happening and taking place, but also understanding that we have a choice, and then we can actually pick which side we want to be in regards to, hey, I want to play a role in this system, in this matrix, or I want to break it away by tapping into my inner self, So I think we are actually in that point where we actually, understanding and learning more about ourselves through the leverage, through the usage of technology. But I tend to think positively, and see that we are having more and more people awakening, more and more people understanding who we truly are. And by doing so, I believe that we are going to create a better place for ourselves, and we're going to break it away from the system and create something that is better for everyone,
Right.
Yeah.
On that note, tudo nosso.
Tudo nosso.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, my brother.
Thanks for having me.
I'm sure we'll see you soon.
Absolutely.